If you ever meet someone who walks into a room and suddenly everything feels lighter, like just by being there, they change the air, the energy, the entire mood. Maybe it's a friend who knows exactly what to say when you're drowning in self-doubt. Maybe it's a stranger who offers a kind word at the perfect moment. Some people, whether they realize it or not, are human medicine. Not because they have all the answers, not because they never struggle, but because they carry something rare, a presence that heals. They listen when the world is too loud. They remind you of your strength when you've forgotten it. And here's the truth, you can be that person too. The world doesn't just need more success stories, it needs more healers, more encouragers, more people willing to show up with kindness. So today, let's talk about what it means to be human medicine, why it matters, how we can become it, and how sometimes the right person at the right moment can change everything. There are people in this world who don't need to say much to make an impact. They don't always have the right words, the perfect advice, or grand gestures, yet their presence alone can be deeply healing. You feel it when they walk into a room. An unspoken warmth, a quiet strength, a sense of safety. These are the people who ground you without effort, who remind you that even in chaos there is still peace to be found. Human connection isn't always about doing or fixing. Sometimes it's just about being present, being fully there. When someone truly shows up, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, it can be a powerful force. It tells you that you are not alone, that someone sees you, that your existence matters. Think about moments in your life when you were struggling. Maybe words couldn't fix what you were going through, but a certain person's presence made it more bearable. A friend who sat with you in silence, a mentor who simply listened, a loved one who stayed close without forcing conversation. Their energy, their willingness to just be with you spoke louder than any words ever could. In a world filled with distractions, being fully present is rare. We are often caught up in our thoughts, our screens, our own worries. But the people who can set all of that aside and offer their undivided attention, they are the ones who make others feel safe, valued, and understood. Presence is not about fixing someone's problems. It's about offering them the gift of feeling seen and supported. It is an unspoken language that says, I am here with you. You are not alone. Words have power. They can build, they can break, they can heal. Some people don't realize the weight their words carry until they see the effect on someone's face. The way encouragement can lift a person from the depths of self-doubt, or how a single kind sentence can turn someone's entire day around. Words, when chosen with care, become medicine. Think about a time when someone said exactly what you needed to hear. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. Maybe it was a friend who reminded you of your worth when you were feeling invisible. Words have the ability to plant seeds, seeds of hope, strength, and resilience. Even the simplest phrases like, I see you, you are enough, or I believe in you can be transformative. But just as words can heal, they can also wound. We live in a world where criticism is often louder than encouragement, where people throw around harsh words without thinking about the scars they leave behind. Healing words are different. They are intentional, rooted in kindness, and spoken with the purpose of lifting others up rather than tearing them down. You don't need to be a poet or a public speaker to offer words that heal. Sometimes it's just about speaking from the heart, It's about noticing when someone needs reassurance and choosing to be the voice that reminds them of their strength. Encouraging words don't have to be grand or poetic. They just have to be genuine. And when they are, they have the power to stay with someone for a lifetime, and reminding them that even in their darkest moments, they were never truly alone. Energy is something we all carry, whether we realize it or not. It's the invisible force that fills a room before a word is even spoken. Some people radiate warmth, calmness, and reassurance, making those around them feel safe and understood. Others bring stress, negativity, or tension, creating an environment where people feel drained rather than uplifted. The energy you carry matters more than you think. Have you ever noticed how some people make you feel lighter just by being near them? It's not about what they say or do, it's about how they make you feel. They carry an energy that is steady, grounding, and full of quiet strength. These are the people who turn ordinary moments into meaningful ones, not because of their actions, but because of the peace and kindness they exude. On the other hand, we've all encountered people whose presence feels heavy, even when they're silent. Their energy is tense, restless, or clouded with negativity. They don't have to say a word for you to feel on edge. This doesn't mean they are bad people. Sometimes they're just carrying their own burdens without realizing how much it affects those around them. But it does show how powerful energy can be. The beautiful thing is that energy is something you can choose to cultivate. When you carry warmth, kindness, and authenticity, people feel it. When you choose patience over frustration, gratitude over resentment, and understanding over judgment, you create an atmosphere where healing can happen. The way you show up, your tone, your body language, the unspoken energy you bring can either lift people up or weigh them down. And often, it's not the loudest voice in the room that has the greatest impact, but the quiet energy of someone who makes others feel safe. Listening is one of the most underrated forms of healing. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, to share their opinions, to be heard, few people truly listen. Not just hearing words, but listening with presence, with intention, with a heart that seeks to understand rather than respond. And yet, when someone feels genuinely heard, it can be one of the most powerful forms of medicine. Think about a time when you were struggling, not looking for advice, not needing a solution, but just wanting someone to listen. Maybe you felt overwhelmed, lost, or unseen. And then someone sat with you, gave you their full attention, and simply listened. No interruptions, no judgment, no attempt to fix, just presence. In that moment, didn't it feel like a weight had been lifted? Like you had space to breathe again? Listening is not passive, it's an active gift. It requires setting aside distractions, quieting the urge to respond, and making space for someone else's emotions. It's looking into their eyes, nodding at the right moments, allowing pauses to exist without rushing to fill them. It's saying with your presence, I hear you, I see you, you matter. The mistake many people make is thinking that being helpful means offering advice. But sometimes people don't need answers. They need a place where their thoughts can exist without fear of judgment. A space where their pain, confusion, or joy can simply be. When you become that kind of listener, you become a healer. You give people the rare and powerful gift of feeling truly understood. And in a world that moves fast, where conversations are often shallow, being someone who genuinely listens is one of the greatest acts of kindness you can offer. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can have the biggest impact. A smile from a stranger, a few encouraging words, a thoughtful gesture. These things might seem insignificant in the moment, but to someone going through a difficult time, they can mean everything. Healing doesn't always come from grand gestures. Often it comes from the little things we do without even realizing their power. Think about a time when you were struggling and someone did something small that changed your day. Maybe a friend sent a message just to check in. Maybe a stranger held the door open when you were feeling invisible. Maybe someone simply noticed you when you felt unseen. These moments may seem minor, but they carry weight because they remind us that we are not alone. The truth is, you don't have to be in a position of power or have endless resources to make a difference. Sometimes all it takes is being aware, paying attention to the people around you, noticing when someone needs a little extra kindness and acting on it. A compliment, a helping hand, a moment of patience. These things might not seem like much, but to the right person at the right time, they can be everything. People often underestimate their ability to make an impact because they think it has to be something big. But real healing is found in the details, in the moments where one person chooses to extend kindness without expecting anything in return. The ripple effect of a small act of goodness can go far beyond what you'll ever see. In the most beautiful part, you may never know just how much your kindness meant to someone, but rest assured it did. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So often, people focus on being there for others, offering support, encouragement, and kindness, while neglecting their own well-being. But the truth is, you cannot be human medicine for anyone if you are running on empty yourself. Think about how a doctor must take care of their own health to be able to treat patients. The same applies to emotional and mental well-being. If you are constantly giving, constantly absorbing other people's pain, constantly showing up for everyone except yourself, eventually you will burn out. You will become exhausted, resentful, and unable to offer the very kindness you want to share with the world. Self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean shutting people out or ignoring their struggles. It means recognizing when you need rest, when you need to recharge, and when you need to say no. It means setting boundaries, protecting your peace, and allowing yourself the same compassion you so freely give to others. The strongest, kindest, and most healing people aren't the ones who sacrifice themselves completely. They are the ones who know how to balance giving with receiving. Self-care looks different for everyone. It could be taking quiet moments for yourself, engaging in activities that bring you joy, seeking support when you need it, or simply allowing yourself to feel without judgment. Whatever it is, prioritize it, because when you care for yourself, you create a foundation of strength that allows you to show up for others in a way that is sustainable, genuine, and deeply impactful. Being human medicine starts with making sure you are whole enough to give. It's easy to judge people. It's easy to assume we know their story, to label their actions as right or wrong, to react without understanding. But what if, instead of judgment, we chose empathy? What if instead of assuming the worst, we took a step back and tried to understand what someone might be going through? The truth is, people don't always show their pain in obvious ways. Sometimes the ones who seem distant are carrying invisible battles. Sometimes the ones who lash out are hurting the most. Choosing empathy over judgment doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior, but it does mean recognizing that everyone has a story, and often that story explains far more than what we see on the surface. When we judge, we create distance. When we empathize, we create connection. Think about a time when you were struggling but couldn't express it properly. Maybe you were short-tempered, withdrawn, or not your best self. Now imagine someone judge you for that moment, assuming they knew everything about you. How would that have made you feel? Now imagine instead that someone took a moment to check in, to ask if you were okay, to offer patience rather than criticism. That small shift can make all the difference. When we approach people with empathy instead of judgment, we become a source of healing. We create spaces where people feel safe to be real, to be seen, and to be understood. We may not always know what someone is going through, but we always have a choice in how we respond to them. And more often than not, the choice to understand rather than condemn is what makes the greatest impact. One act of kindness, one moment of encouragement, one person choosing to lift another up, it all creates a ripple effect far beyond what we can see. When you bring healing into someone's life, even in the smallest way, that healing doesn't stop with them. It moves forward, spreading from one person to another, creating a chain reaction of goodness that can reach farther than you'll ever know. Think about a time when someone's kindness changed your day. Did it stop with you, or did it inspire you to be kinder, more patient, more understanding towards someone else? That's the ripple effect in action. A single act of love doesn't just stay with one person. It carries forward. People who receive kindness are more likely to extend it. A child who grows up in a home filled with warmth and encouragement is more likely to offer that same warmth to others. A person who has shown compassion during their darkest moments is more likely to show it to someone else when the time comes. This is how healing spreads, not in huge, world-changing moments, but in everyday choices to be kind, to uplift, to listen, to show up for others. The most powerful thing is that you may never see the full impact of your actions. You may never know how your words lifted someone from the edge of despair, how your patience helped someone feel valued, or how your encouragement gave someone the strength to keep going. But trust that it matters. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, plant a seed that can grow into something greater than you ever imagined. Healing moves outward, and it always begins with one person choosing to make a difference. Vulnerability is often seen as weakness, but in reality, it is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. In a world that teaches us to hide our pain, to put on a brave face, to always appear strong, choosing to be open about our struggles is an act of courage. It creates space for real connection, allowing others to see us as we are, not perfect, not invincible, but human. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are it's not just their success or confidence that draws you in, but their honesty, their authenticity, their willingness to be real. When someone shares their fears, their failures, their moments of doubt, it reminds us that we are not alone in our own struggles. It gives us permission to be honest about our own pain, to stop pretending we have it all together. Strength isn't about never breaking, it's about having the courage to be seen even when you feel broken. It's about saying, "This is me, and I am still worthy, still growing, still enough." And the beautiful thing is, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you make it safer for others to do the same. You become a source of comfort, a reminder that they don't have to carry their burdens alone. Real healing happens when people feel safe enough to be themselves, when they know they won't be judged for their wounds but accepted in spite of them. The strongest connections are built not in moments of perfection but in shared struggles, in honest conversations, in the simple act of saying, "I understand because I've been there too." Vulnerability isn't just strength, it's medicine, both for yourself and for the people around you. Becoming human medicine is a choice, an intentional decision to be a source of healing in a world that often feels heavy. It's not about having all the answers or being perfect. It's about showing up with kindness, with empathy, with the willingness to make a difference in someone's life, no matter how small. Every day we have opportunities to bring healing into the spaces we occupy. It could be through the words we speak, the energy we carry, the way we listen, or the simple act of being present. It's in the small moments, choosing patience instead of frustration, offering encouragement instead of criticism, and making people feel seen rather than overlooked. These are the things that heal. You don't have to be in a position of influence to make an impact. Healing isn't limited to doctors, counselors, or leaders. It belongs to anyone willing to be a light for someone else. A friend who checks in, a stranger who offers a kind word, a person who chooses understanding over judgment. All of these are forms of healing. And the best part, the more you give, the more you grow. Healing is not a one-way street. When you choose to uplift others, you also uplift yourself. Being human medicine is about recognizing that your presence, your kindness, and your empathy have power. You may never fully know the impact you've had on someone's life, but trust that it matters. Every act of kindness, every moment of genuine connection, every time you choose to bring warmth into the world, you are being the medicine someone else needs. The world doesn't just need more success, more power, or more noise. It needs more healers. It needs people who choose kindness when it's easier to be indifferent, who listen when others rush to speak, who bring light into places where darkness has settled. Some people are human medicine not because they have special abilities, but because they make the conscious choice to be present, to uplift, to heal. Every interaction, every word, every moment of presence carries weight. You never know whose life you're touching, whose heart you're helping mend, or whose strength you're restoring. The smallest gestures, a kind word, a listening ear, a moment of understanding, can be the very thing that helps someone keep going. And the beauty of it all? Anyone can be human medicine. You don't need a title, a platform, or a grand gesture. You just need a heart willing to care, a willingness to be the person who reminds others that they are seen, that they matter, that they are not alone. So as you step out into the world, ask yourself, how can I be human medicine today? Because when enough of us choose to heal instead of harm, to encourage instead of criticize, and to show up with love instead of indifference, we create something powerful. We create a world where people don't just survive, but truly heal. And that, more than anything, is the kind of impact that lasts.